All right, my name is Judy Spahr, and Macy has asked me if I would help her with a project she is doing, Women in Education. So she will be asking me the questions, and I'll be answering them as honestly as I can.
Okay, so first question, what year were you in high school?
I was in high school 1964 to 68.
And then college?
68 to 71.
Okay. First question, describe your schooling experience as a child and student.
Well, we moved a lot when I was growing up, so that made my school experience maybe a little bit different than most kids, but very strict, very structured. Not a lot of opportunities to try new things on your own. I did attend some public schools and private schools, so they were both pretty much the same. Did you want any more information about them?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Next question, what were some best parts of your experience and then why?
The best part was, I think, going to so many different schools and moving around between 3 states when I was attending them, because you had an opportunity to meet different people, to see different cultures, because one of the places was Boston, one was Atlanta, Georgia, and then Pennsylvania. So I think probably some of the moves were even mid-year. So I really like being the new girl coming in the middle of the year, because you get a lot of attention. I like attention. Okay.
Yeah. Is that all for that question?
I think so.
What were some of the worst parts about school?
I think probably the worst part for me with school was I had attention deficit, but they didn't know that's what it was. All they knew is that I had trouble sitting still, I had trouble focusing, and they were not quite as accepting of those attributes as they are today. And they didn't make any concessions. So you know, it was all very regimented, and I just felt like I was almost always in trouble, and I probably was, because I couldn't sit still, I couldn't stay focused, and so that was difficult. I had to work through that one on my own, realizing that it wasn't me that wasn't doing very well. Okay.
Okay, next question. How, if at all, was your schooling experience particular to your gender and generation? I can't read my handwriting.
I think girls in the class, myself included, it was expected of you that there would be certain classes that you would take, and that the males would not. Males tended to be more in the math and the science. The girls tended to take art, sewing, literature. They were very much aware of differences between males and females.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to make a difference. So I was really glad whenever they finally started to realize that we were all programmed basically the same way. It's just which direction we chose to take. Was there more to that question?
No, that's good. That's what I learned
Okay.
so far in my class too. Okay, next question is, what advice might you give to teachers who work with girls?
Good luck. No. I taught for 26 years at a middle school, and I have to say I would prefer a whole classroom of boys. Girls tended to be a lot more emotional in a classroom than boys. When they would have disagreements with each other, it would right away, can you move my seat? Or I'm not speaking to her. It always, and then they would try and form these little groups.
Yeah.
And that was difficult, but I think I just would put my foot down and say those are things I don't move seats for. I said one of the things you have to do is learn how to get along with each other. Boys, not so much so. Boys kind of would get in each other's faces.
Yeah.
But then it was done. It was over. Girls could seem to drag it on for a very long time. Did I get everything on that one?
Yeah, is that the advice you would give to them?
So I think you would have to consciously remember that girls emotionally are very different than boys. And, keep that in mind. The girls would mature much sooner than boys, sometimes a year or two. So you had to remember that they were much further along emotionally than the boys were. But probably just patience.
Okay. The next one is, being a teacher yourself, how did you deal with gender discrimination, if there was any, or have you ever experienced any?
I'm not sure that I really had that in my classrooms or in the schools that I was in, any gender discrimination. I think it was more personality discrimination than anything else. It wasn't like the seating arrangement wasn't really different for boys or for girls. But based on personalities, yes, it was. You would maybe automatically assume the boys were going to be a little more difficult, so you'd put them right up under your nose. The girls would be a little less confrontational, so they got to sit in the back. I don't know if that's considered gender discrimination or personality discrimination.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have a harder time getting a job after college?
Whenever I graduated, my husband and I both did 3.5 years. We went straight through a summer so we could hurry up and graduate early in December, and there were no jobs available in December. When I graduated, in 72 then, I was looking for my first job. There was a teacher glut. And it was extremely difficult to find a job, especially at the middle school and high school level. And elementary, I graduated when they were doing like open classrooms, and sometimes you would have some 3rd graders, 4th graders, and 5th graders all working in one class on different levels. And the classroom was not structured for that. I finally had a 1-year maternity, and I really enjoyed it, but then we moved up here to Lancaster, and at Manheim Township, we had 225 teachers that were on the substitute list, and they would just rotate through. You didn't get to choose. So it was kind of difficult. And then about 10 years after that, whenever I went back into education after raising my own sons, much easier. Lots of jobs available, I think. I can't even say what the reason is, but I think we're going to be teacher shortages over the next 10 to 15 years. I think a lot of teachers are going to choose other professions. But, so yeah, it was difficult unless you coached. I think that was one of the things that really stood out. Even with females, is one of the first 5 questions you were asked when you went for an interview was, what sport would you coach? And I guess I took offense to that. I didn't coach, and I didn't feel it was all that important. But
So you didn't feel discriminated when you were looking for jobs?
No.
Okay.
Other than they seemed to be looking for someone who not only was a teacher, but a coach. And in that way I did, but as a female, I did not. In fact, I think at the time, probably males were discriminated against even more, especially if you went into the lower middle school grades. High school, not so much so, but a lot of the guys did not want to be teachers because the pays were so horribly low. They couldn't have a family and support a family on it, but
Okay.
okay.
Well, that's the last question.
That was the last one. I enjoyed this.
Do you have anything else you want to touch on, or is that everything?
No, I think that was good. Like the questions.
Thank you.
And I do want to see this when it's finished.